Good morning and welcome to Coffee Talk. I want to talk about some of the reasons why we can't forgive. A lot of us say we want to forgive, but for some reason we just can't. And I have a few grievances that I am currently holding on to. So my thought was I would give it, last night I was thinking, let me give it some real thought. Why can I not forgive these people? A lot of times we're just not ready to release people from their wrongdoing. We just want them to suffer. We feel pain from their injustice, from their wrongdoing, and we have this idea in our minds of how long they need to suffer for what they've done to us before we can forgive. We actually begin to find pleasure in our resentment towards them. The resentment and the anger replaces the pain of the injustice. So over time, we're no longer actually hurt by the injustice. We now have this false sense of high from this sense of righteousness, that we are somehow better than them. I know this because I see, if I'm being honest, that there is someone in my life a few months ago who really hurt me. Like really hurt me. But I'm not hurt anymore. I just have found solace in the fact that I am a better person than she is. That is not a good reason not to forgive. That says more about me than it does about her. Something to think about. Because it's a dangerous place to be in when you hold on to this kind of righteousness, because you're never allowed to now make a mistake. Because if you're holding on to righteousness against someone who committed an injustice towards you, then what you're saying is, I'm perfect, you're not, you're the flawed one, and I'm going to stay in this space until I'm ready to forgive you. But now you're never allowed to make a mistake. And I don't know that I can live like that because I make a lot of mistakes. Think back to Sex and the City, the movie, when Steve cheats on Miranda. She can't forgive him. It consumes her. Remember the scene in the cab with Carrie and Miranda when Carrie says, it's only been a few days and you want me to forgive you, but you can't forgive Steve. And Miranda says it's not the same thing. And Carrie says, but it is. It's forgiveness. Miranda was holding on to her righteousness towards his injustice for so long that when she did something that was hurtful to someone else, essentially what Carrie was saying to her was, you think you're so much better than Steve, yet you want me to forgive you for not being honest with me. I'm telling you, it's something to think about. The other reason that I think we don't forgive is a lot of ways our grievances, our resentment becomes like protection for us, like armor almost. My mom does this with worrying. My mother over worries about things that aren't even there. She creates false worries in her mind and makes herself neurotic. And I finally got her to admit that she does this because she's so afraid if she isn't worrying about nonsense, that something real will happen. This is like a real mindset. She stays in a constant state of worry about, when I tell you nonsense, I'm talking about nonsense, because she's so afraid of releasing all of that and leaving herself vulnerable to something that could really happen. So she is essentially robbing herself of joy every day for fear that something may really happen. A lot of times we don't forgive because the fear and the anger and the worry remain long after the threat of injustice is gone. And the fear and the anger that were originally surfaced to protect us from harm are now debilitating us. Think about that. We've talked about fear is a natural protectant. It steps up to say, whoa, this person is not good for you. You need to be on high alert, right? However, many times that fear and anger stays long after the injustice. Think about how many of us carry that fear or anger into our next relationship, our next friendship, our next situation, whatever it is. And it no longer is a protectant. It's literally debilitating us. It's robbing us of our joy. We must learn to forgive. But this coffee talk is not how to forgive. This coffee talk is why we don't. And these are some of the reasons that I came up with. Some of the reasons why I have had trouble over time forgiving. If you are holding on to a grievance, do you know why? Do you really know why? I mean, obviously, if it's new, if it just happened, that's a different story. But if you are really holding on to a grievance, if you are angry and resentful and you are still in that space long after the threat to you is gone. People wanted me to get over a plane crash sooner than they were willing to get over something that happened to them a year ago. People telling me statistics, it'll never happen to you again, blah, blah. Meanwhile, I have to get on a plane today, and the thought of it makes me literally want to puke. But it is amazing how quickly other people expect you to get over certain things. Meanwhile, they're holding on to things that happened a year ago, and the threat to them is long gone. So if you are holding on to something and you are choosing not to forgive at this point, and I'm not saying forgiveness means you need to bring that relationship back together. I'm just talking about releasing yourself of the resentment. Why? What are you finding? What comfort are you finding in that space? I would love to talk about it. I love you today. Have a great day.